Hey, what is up here, guys? Jolteon Gamer is back here, and this is gonna be a very different video than what y'all are used to me seeing, me performing or reacting or anything. This will be my first little tidbit on, I guess, a podcast or something. It's gonna be something random. I'll think of a name for it down the road, but the point of this is to talk about my own opinions, give my own thoughts on stuff in the world of sports or even political stuff if I ever feel like doing that. But I'm never going to cross that bridge, not by a long shot. So today I'm going to start with the first bit of business. The Pac-12 is back, and there's 6 teams. And how do I feel about those 6 teams? I respect the fact that they're trying to bring in guys from a little more than just like the strictly on the west side of the country. You bring in Boise, who's always going to be a solid team. They've never been able to get better than their late 2000s domination of the WAC. But ever since that, they've never gotten good. They've never had any good seasons under their belt. Colorado State, I feel like, is supposed to be like a punching bag team, but I think they got enough on that team to make a decent push and maybe even shock the world if they get a good enough schedule. And I believe that they're a sneaky team to watch out for. For Fresno State, it's an obvious fit. They need a California team. Fresno State's not done much. They brought some guys from their school into the NFL. I mean, they got Devontae, Derek Carr, Jake Hayner was like a backup right now, but he still got drafted. They've still got other players that are in the league right now that are not that terrible. I think this is a step up for them and it gives them a chance to possibly nab some 4, maybe 5-star recruits in that California area. I don't think they're ever going to be a good elite team like the Washingtons and Oregons when they were last year, but I think they're a good enough team to sneak into there and maybe get a couple big upset wins. And then San Diego State, I don't know how I feel about them. I've seen a little bit of their tape. I've not followed a lot of it, but they've not really done anything to impress me. Either they've been on bye for these weeks, which there have been teams that just start with 3 straight bye weeks, and I think that if their schedule eases up and they're playing in the Mountain West for this last year, I think they're going to be probably a mid-level team. I think Boise's going to do well. I think Colorado State might do well. Utah State will probably do okay. Air Force could probably pull off some shockers, but there's not really a whole lot in the Mountain West. And I will say I am a Tulane fan, and I'm happy to hear that they stayed in the American Conference. But if you want my honest opinion, I think that they're holding out specifically to wait for maybe when they get a bigger conference. They're a good team now. They've got some players in the NFL. They've got stars on that team that's got some potential to get drafted. I think the reason why that they stayed in the American is because they've given them the chance after the CUSA, I think, kicked them out, or they left the Conference USA to join the American a few years ago. And after hearing about Memphis returning, I feel like that at the bare minimum they shouldn't go to the Pac because it's a little too far. But I understand about the Cal and Stanford thing going to the ACC. I feel like they should more join the Big 12. It'd be a step up for them. It'd give them more incentive to try to play better or even play even better ball than they've done. It would give them against big games, get big mainstream attention, and even throw them into probably big matchups, even get a chance to get into the playoffs that they probably wanted. I think that they'll probably be one of the best teams in the American this year, but the big issues I'm gathering is you still got Tulane, who's my favorite team, and I won't be shocked if they don't do well this year. You've got, I believe, Well, I know Memphis has probably been like the other team that's been in the thorn of Tulane, but I think Memphis is a favorite to win it. Maybe they might take the trophy with them and leave for a bigger school. I think they'll join the Big 12. I don't think joining the pack is a smart idea for them. Well, I might think it's an incentive, an enticing offer. I think the fact with them just sticking in the Big 12 and joining that with all the other schools that are right aligned in there, you've got some history stuff that you can throw in there, and I think it'd be fitting better for them. Now, for teams to join the pack, I've thought about this for a little bit after hearing about options like UNLV trying to get in or Nevada trying to get thrown in there with them and how the pack doesn't want them. Here's my idea. They want to bring in Utah State. I think that's a smart decision. Utah State would basically get probably better publicity, and if they can just get some big recruits to come to that school, either by the portal or by send them out of high school, then if they beat, say, Utah 1 year, that's big publicity, and that's going to get you some mainstream attention, and even might even get you better recruits and better chance of getting into the playoffs. And how they also heard that I think they need one more team to require for I think a tournament for the championship. I think what they should do is go after an FCS school, bring them up from the FCS level, and see if they can sink or swim. I've thought about bringing Idaho back up. They were around in 2013, floundering, but they finally put it back together and are a solid team in the FCS. I feel like that would be a smart move. Plus, you can have the Battle of Idaho coming back with Boise State and Idaho. But something that came to my mind that I also happened to thought about, what about bringing up a team like Sacramento State? You've got the pipeline in California. You can throw in some rivalry games with Fresno State and maybe even have a bunch of the new guys try to say that, hey, we're here to be legit. We're the best team to come up, and we're ready to prove our worth. I think that would be a smart decision. Add the fact that I've even heard some rumors talking about how they want to bring, there's a few teams, I think a couple people trying to bring them up from the FBCS to the FBS. I think that would be a smart decision, and I even also heard that if the Mountain West loses, Utah State or UNLV and Nevada to the Pac-12, they might bring up an FCS school. And if anything, I feel like Idaho would be a better fit there than the Pac. Well, I love the rivalry game that return with the two teams. I think throwing them into the Mountain West, not giving them a lot of rushing, would be a better fit. But you can also bring up maybe the Dakotas, North Dakota State, South Dakota State, because they've dominated the FCS for so many years. They've ran through the gauntlet. They're the best teams up there in that divisions. Why not see if they can sink or swim in the FBS? And I even heard that Delaware is coming up probably next year, and you've got all these other small schools trying to make that jump, saying, "Hey, we are a real team. We're legit. Everything is good to go." So my honest opinion, my recap of it, I think the Pac will be back. I think they're going to get another team. At the bare minimum, I think Utah State should join the Pac. It'd be a perfect fit for them. And the fact you can bring in, again, that big rivalry game with the Battle of the Brothers. And I think that they should bring up an FCS school to join the conference, not bring after or fish for another FBS team. Unless you're going after maybe UNLV, maybe you could probably try to finesse a couple other schools around that area, but I don't think a lot of them are going to jump ship. Maybe you could get San Jose State, but they've not been really good. I think that they'd be an okay spot, but I just think that they're not really going to be a team to worry about. On to the next thing before I feel like my thing is going to run out of space. We're going to start talking about the NFL. And My two favorite teams are just terrible. I'm a Bengals and Jags fan. I will tell you now, I'm not ashamed of losing to Jaden Daniels because I've always talked highly of some of the rookie quarterbacks in this upcoming class. And I've talked a lot about how certain ones were better than other ones. I did not buy the hype on Bryce Young. I never bought the hype. I hated him ever since he was at Alabama. He was gifted that number one overall pick. And I think CJ Stroud is going to be just fine. He's my quarterback one for that draft class. And in this recent draft class, I was high on Drake May and Jaden Daniels more than Caleb Williams. And the thing that really scared me off from him wasn't his way he acts different, how he dresses different, how he basically is different. I've looked on the field and at his tape. He is not, and I mean not, done anything in the biggest moments. They could have beaten Utah twice to get to that number, to get to the conference champ, to get to the playoffs. They got blown out by them like 48-14 or something close to that score. Then they lost to Utah again and lose their entire chances of making the Pac-12 championship. Then they blew like a 20-point lead to Tulane. And that even is with Caleb Williams and stuff still trying to score points. I can understand if the defense can't get a nosebleed stop, but if you can't keep scoring and if you can't show up in the biggest moments, what makes you think that you're worthy of being the number one pick? I never bought the hype of Caleb Williams. He panics too much. He immediately wants to scramble. That is a bad sign. He has a good body and build, which I think is okay for some quarterbacks. But I just think he's not going to be a good quarterback, and I truly don't believe that he's going to win Rookie of the Year or even be a solid quarterback in the NFL. Just like how Bryce Young is, I think he's going to be the same boat. And Jaden Daniels is going to be... I feel like he'd probably be more like Anthony Richardson. Like before he got injured. Like I think he's going to play well. He's going to do a lot, but he's going to not win Rookie of the Year. I think that's going to go to probably Bo Nix. Because I was high on Bo Nix coming out of the draft. I was high on a lot of these quarterbacks, but my list I had was May. I watched him. He played well. Honestly felt like a good fit in New England. And the fact that they're starting Jacoby Brissett over him, that's a smart decision to save his behind from getting killed. Then I went Daniels. I've watched his tape. He's been able to show up. He's been able to produce. And there's no part of my mind saying, okay, he's not going to be a good quarterback. Then I went McCarthy because of the pedigree, because of the fact that he's played in big games. Even when the ball was in his hands, he's made sure to make the right read and thrown it to the right guy. 4, I went with Michael Penix. I was high on him. I love the fact that even if he was a lefty quarterback, he still played the position well. He still played it perfectly to Washington to get him into that national championship game. Even if they got blown out, they still earned their spot there. They've beaten a tough Texas team. They've beaten Oregon twice in tough matchups. They've beaten Utah, who's been a thorn and has ran the Pac-12 for so many years. They've even beaten USC. I am not shocked about it at all. So, at the end of this podcast, I'm going to leave you all with a big question of the day. And tell me your comment section. Tell me in the comments down below your answer. If in this next draft class, 2025, out of the major quarterbacks, Quinn Ewers, Carson Beck, Jalen Milroe, Dylan Gabriel, who do you think is the most likely to win that team to win Rookie of the Year or even win an award? For me, I'm high on Dylan Gabriel. I watched him when he was at Oklahoma. I love him. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks. And the fact is, he plays a style similar to like Matt Leinart. He doesn't force the ball. He knows the pinpoint accuracy when he needs to throw it to certain spots. He's a great-minded quarterback with that. I think he has the potential to be a really sneaky fit. And for a team, say like maybe the Rams, he'd be a perfect fit with Stafford getting older. He could be even a good starter for the Raiders. I think that's a good fit. Let Gardner Minshew be your starter for another year. Give Gabriel a chance to develop. Or you can even throw him in New Orleans. And I feel like he would do so much there. And it would be scary. But that is all I had for this one video tonight. And in the next episode, I will be talking a bit about basketball, more on some of the news about the Pac-12 and college football, as long as with some of the scores from the games. So, and for right now, I will leave you all with this one last message. Always keep an eye out for what you find, because sometimes you never know what you're gonna see, even if you look at it in the face. For now, I wish y'all a good night, or a good day, or good whenever, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.